Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing tonight? Awesome. Well, I'm Ryan Bijan, host of Cowtown Movie Classics, and welcome to the Modern Art Museum of Fort Worth. We are kicking off John Wayne Day weekend early with this special 95th anniversary presentation of The Big Trail. So this is director Raoul Walsh's monumental epic of Western expansion from 1930. Has anybody seen this movie before? Oh wow, we have quite a few. Yeah, all right. So you guys are the John Wayne aficionados. You know what's up. So at Cowtown Movie Classics, our goal is to make vintage cinema accessible to our community with the proper historical context. Through this, I've been fortunate enough to sit down with world-class film historians, artists, special guests, and tonight is no exception. Our very special guests literally grew up on film sets, going on to appear in some of the most beloved classics ever made. The Quiet Band, McClintock, The Searchers,
and
Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Roberts, and The Alamo. So these are just a few of the titles he appeared with alongside his father, the legendary John Wayne. That said, tonight's guest is an iconic leading man in his own right. As the hero of Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, he fought off mythical monsters on the far side of the world. But today, he helps battle a very real monster through his generous work with the John Wayne Cancer Foundation. So please give a warm Fort Worth welcome to Mr. Patrick Wayne.
Can we show hands again who saw this movie? Wow. Yeah, everything I have to tell you, you already know. There are some interesting things about this film, which I will, tell to the other people who haven't seen the movie yet. Can I just say something?
Please do.
Yes, it was shot in 1930 before color, and it was shot in 70 millimeter, which you may have mentioned. So when they released the film, there was about 12 theaters that could show this movie, so it never didn't get any play when it first came out. It was just way ahead of its time. It was 10 years before the golden age of films in 39 when Stagecoach and The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind and all these great films come out. But it certainly deserves some merit. And the thing to watch here, this is like a half a century after the people came across the Great Plains to be on the West Coast. They're rolling stock in this film was probably part of those wagon train rides across the country. It's all beautiful stuff. No CGI. When you see the thing crash, it's the real deal. It's pretty amazing. So I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be great. And by the way, I had so much enjoyed meeting 90% of you outside. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you, Patrick. It's certainly good to see you here tonight.
Do you want to sit down?
Sure. We'll sit down. So as you
I
mentioned,
said everything I'm going to say.
my job is done. Yeah, well, no, as you mentioned, the movie was produced in 1930 so for you guys unfamiliar with the various film formats, this 70mm process, they called it the fat box grandeur process. And essentially, it was early widescreen cinemascope, basically 25 years before that became the norm in Hollywood.
Or more, yeah, but yeah, at least that long.
So but it looks incredible, and when you're watching this footage, as Patrick said, you're actually watching everything unfold. I mean, there's a few off-look shots and nap paintings, but it literally had a cast of thousands, and when I say thousands, I mean extras, human extras, cattle, horses. I believe it was, 200 carriages or something, like covered wagons that they used in the film.
The kind of stuff was, yeah.
Yeah.
All that stuff was real. They didn't multiply it. I mean, what you see on the screen is the real deal.
So Patrick, let me ask you, you grew up obviously on location, on film sets, working with your father. And even then, I don't necessarily say he was at the height of his career because
I wouldn't say it.
Oh. Well, the fact is, I mean, he was a major major household name even up until the very end, and he was still making classic after classic. But was he a nostalgic person? Did he like talking about his early days in the industry?
Never talked about the past. He was always a forward-looking person. The most connection he had with the past is looking at yesterday's shooting and seeing if he did what he wanted to accomplish as an actor. That was his class work. He didn't go to this is what he got the chance to work in all these films and develop his craft on the screen. And he really never stopped working. And it all came to full fruition in a film which I couldn't watch for about 10 years called The Shooters. But he really, he was a fully human being. He wasn't a cardboard cutout character. He really had developed his craft. But tough for me to watch because he died of cancer, so not good.
So if you'd like to talk about that a little bit, well, how did the John Wayne Cancer
I
Foundation?
didn't know you were coming now. That's my niece.
So let's give a warm round of applause to Anita
I
Swift.
didn't know you were coming.
This is John Wayne's first and favorite granddaughter, she would say.
And Will Rogers' granddaughter.
And Will Rogers' granddaughter.
Will Rogers and John Wayne.
Yeah, why don't you get up here? and talk about it?
She can talk after.
I'm here to watch you.
There you go. It's nice to see you. I haven't seen you since I had my open heart surgery.
I know. You look good.
I feel good, yeah. You're still working. He's sitting there looking at this jerk and he dies right in front of me. Any questions from the audience?
Oh, sure, yeah, yes, sir.
Your favorite movie that you were in with your dad, and then your favorite movie just to watch as a fan of your dad?
I'd have to say Big Jake was my favorite movie with my dad because they had most scenes together in that. And he didn't really beat me up every time. He didn't beat me up a lot. But he shot me in with Wintuck, you know. And then Sinbad was really just a whole lot of fun to do the movie. Acting is like child's play. You get to play with swords and do the things she did as a kid, only like a real sword. And all of this great stuff. But the thing about Sinbad was it was all done in pantomime. All of the monsters and everything were Ray Harryhausen figures that he added later in the filming so that nothing was there. I would choreograph these routines with a stuntman and then I'd just go and work these things out. And Ray Harryhausen would be looking through the camera, oh, you're just too high, you gotta be lower and everything, you gotta worry about the technical stuff. And when I saw the film, I couldn't believe they weren't there the whole time. They just matched everything so well. It's my story.
Actually, Patrick, I'm curious. You bring up, of course, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, 1977. And that movie actually has an interesting connection to the Big Trail. Do you know what that is?
It's 47 years later.
Well, you know, here you are, the son of John Wayne, and you're acting opposite Tyrone Power, who is the daughter of Tyrone Power. Tyrone Power's father is the villain of the Big Trail.
And I worked with Tyrone Power in the Long Gray Line.
That's right, yes. You worked with all
It's so incestuous, this business.
So I just thought that was an interesting connection. Can you imagine fans of Tyrone Power, old Hollywood?
Tremendous guy, really good. And Taryn was a lovely, really smart girl, spoke 3 or 4 languages.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a question back here, I'm sorry. I know you raised your hand back there. Did I answer it already? Oh, you!
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
To your mind, what was your father's favorite film? Which one did, I know what you
I'd have to
said.
say Patton. Patton, this film, they came to my dad and they asked him if he would do this film. And they made it from this book that he just didn't like this book that was written about Patton. So he decided not to do this movie. And I was watching it with him when George C. Scott did the part. And my dad said in the one thing, yeah. He had a little remorse that he didn't do it.
Marshall is credited as director, but what percentage did your dad direct of that film? I know he was,
I mean, it was a collaborative effort. By collaborative, my dad did all of it.
what was he, compared to John Ford, what was his directing style?
George,
Your father's. There's not a lot
very
of...
similar in a lot of ways. He was rude. That's so funny you mentioned that. It's different when you're an actor, and when you're a son and your dad is a director. Like normally, an actor will prepare for a part in a movie, and he gets his character, and he knows what he wants to do in the movie, and then he gets together with the director who says, "Yeah, that's great, but we need to also sell this part of the whole movie. Can you do this?" And so you get this compromise of when you work with my dad, he goes, "Like, do it this way." Okay, Dad. You're right.
I think it's interesting that the first film he directed was nominated for Best Picture, and you don't hear a lot about his directing career as far as, the credit he deserves for that.
Yeah, but if they pay him to act, that's what he's going to do. We're going to get paid to do the directing. They didn't make as much money.
So on the topic of directors, of course, The Big Trail was directed by Raoul Walsh, who's one of the great luminaries of old Hollywood. He went back to the silent era. He worked with Douglas Fairbanks Sr., the Thief of Baghdad. So he was used to working on these big productions with casts of thousands. He worked with Bogart, Cagney, all the greats in Hollywood. Did you ever cross paths with Walsh at some point in your career, or you never got to meet him?
Yeah, I'm not even sure when he passed away. But I was born in '39, so
this was you're the stagecoach general.
person.
Well, do you know the story of how your father was discovered? I've heard a couple of different variations of this, of how he was selected for this film.
Oh, selected for this film?
Yes.
No, I have no idea, but I know how he got into business.
Yeah.
You do?
Oh, you would know better than I would.
It's a story I made up, so you can't possibly know it. So he wanted to, go to school, and he was going to be, first of all, he wanted to go to the Naval Academy. And he was, they didn't have political connections. They just moved to California, they didn't know anybody, and so they weren't able to put that together. So then he got a scholarship to go to SC, and he was pretty long there. And so he was really, he's going to build his career in politics. And he broke his shoulder and couldn't play football. And in those days, you lost your scholarship, that was it. So he couldn't afford to go to school, so he went out. So these kids at SC on the football team, during the summers, they used to work in the studios. They'd help the prop man and whatever. So he went over to the studios and started working around there and made himself accessible, available. And that's it. I mean, he was ambitious and driven, and he was going to be a success. If he had done anything else, if he had gone to the Naval Academy, he'd been head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. If he had gone to college, he'd been president of the United States. And it turns out, and we have all these great films to see of this. You can applaud.
John Wayne obviously had an incredible career on the big screen, but here we are decades after his passing, and he's still doing amazing work for people through the John Wayne Cancer Foundation. So how did this come about?
Well, he didn't do a damn thing. I'm doing all the
Yes.
And it's amazing. I mean, when we started doing this in the 80s, we had no idea that his celebrity and personality would still have the kind of resonance that it does today, but it still means something to people, and we're going to, take advantage of that.
Awesome. So what do you guys have going on this weekend for the John Wayne Day celebrations?
So there are several days involved with it, Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and I think on Monday, it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
There's little cards on the table out there, there's alert cards, if you didn't get one, please pick one up on your way out. And they have festivities at the museums, there's dinners and different events. I don't know specifically what they are. Do you know, Anita?
Yeah, we have a book signing from 4 to 6 autographs 4 to 6 on Saturday. And then we have a dinner with the new restaurant that's in the stockyards
Okay.
on Sunday night, and then coffee with the Waynes on Monday morning.
John Wayne Coffee. That'll be good.
Is there anyone here who hasn't been to the John Wayne American Experience Museum in the Fort Worth Stockyards? Who hasn't been?
Oh, I'm embarrassed.
Now you have an excuse to go, right?
Time for one more question. I had nothing to do with it, so I can help him. My brother, he sort of organized all the stuff and do it together, and
I bought like 10.
it affects me emotionally. Hey, I'm talking. Wherever you go, they got heckler's workout.
So as we're winding down, do you have any more questions for Patrick? Yes, sir.
What's your favorite piece of acting advice your father gave you?
He really wasn't the one to give advice, but I was doing a film with him called, it was the last film on Michael Ortiz, The Coleman Sheriff. In this particular one scene, I was doing the shot where the camera was riding close by me like this, and I'm on the horseback riding. And the dailies come back, and I looked horrible, like I'd never been on a horse before. And my dad saw it, he says, "You're going to learn to ride a horse, and you're going to get out of this business." I guess you could call it advice or a threat.
All right, guys, you back there.
Can you tell the story about your father's visit to Harvard when he was invited or appeared before the anti-war students and won them all over, 1969 or whenever it was?
I didn't go back there, but I can tell you from a personal experience, I was with him the weekend before, just happened to be visiting him down in Newport Beach, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard some noise out. I went out there, and my dad was up pacing around, and I'm going like, "What's the matter?" He was like, "I'm so nervous about this thing. I mean, what are these guys going to do when I go there? I'm going, Dad, I love you. You kidding me?" He had no sense of words about that stuff. And it's what happened. He went there, and they somehow got a personal character or a tank or something, and he made his grand entrance at Harvard. 10 yards on a tank, people were going crazy. And there were a couple of things that I remember. One of them is walking through someplace like that, somebody goes, "Hey dude, is that real hair?" He said, "Hell yes, it's real. It's not mine, but it's real." And then a lady, a young female student said, what do you think about women's living and everything? He said, I think a woman has the right to do whatever she wants to in this world as long as she has my dinner on the table at 6 p.m. But he does it with charm, and they loved it. They loved it. They were ready to embrace it. That's all I know about it.
You back there.
Yes, sir, I don't have a question, but sitting here listening to you, I do have a thank you for your dad, for his courage in a time with a subject that wasn't popular at all. It was just touched upon. But when you and your dad stepped out, and you weren't stepping out with politicians, but you were standing with those of us who went to Vietnam. And I want to thank you for that. And by the way, I think that you made a great bulldozer.
Oh yeah, Selig.
Operator. Yeah, Selig.
Someone said I died in that movie. Do you remember that? I think that's fine. I don't think I died in that movie. So I got to tell you a story about the bulldozer, if I may. So I drove a E9 cab on our farm in Arizona when I was like 19 during the summer. And so I had a scene where I come up, there's a camera on the ground down here. And my dad goes to the camera operator, and goes like, "Be careful, because this kid doesn't know what he's doing." And I go flying up there with this thing, and I snapped it, turned it right, and this guy was running for the hill. E9 cat, that's pretty good.
Yes, sir.
We weren't heckling, we were talking about a gold handle coffee cup.
You can't get out of this now. You're dead water.
Did your dad ever reward you with a gold handle coffee cup for your work?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, of course. One from every film that I worked with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any memories of John Ford?
Say it again?
Any memories of John Ford that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so John Ford had a reputation. He's very well-read, civic wit. He's very tough on people. And every day, somebody was in the barrel. Somebody got picked up. I was his godson. But, and he never did pick on me. But I went to work every day thinking this could be the day. So he had that tension all the time. And one time we were flying somewhere. I was playing Generoni with him, and I thought, I'm a good card player, but I'm not going to beat this old man. What am I going to do? And so I think I let him win, and he goes like this: from now on, just play Generoni with small children and Ward Bond.
Did you know Ward Bond has a small part in this movie, Big Trail?
Yes,
They started out as one.
yes, I did.
Yeah.
There's no small parts.
Yes.
That's right.
So, Patrick, do you have any closing thoughts on the Big Trail? For anyone who hasn't seen the movie before, what do they have to look forward to?
I think we described it ad nauseum here. But it's the one nice thing is that they made a new print of this a few years back. So this is a gorgeous print. It doesn't have a lot of scratches, so it's really clean and clear. My dad, as I said, is 23 years old. Not a lot of experience in films at this day. He's raw, but there are certain things in there which he noticed that worked, and then he used those things forever. You'll see little things that he does that he kept in part of his repertoire.
And it's real hair in this one.
Yeah.
It's real hair in this one.
And his real hair. And it's his hair. Oh, real hair.
All right, Mr. Patrick Wayne, thank
One
you.
more question.
Okay, yeah.
We're not going to show the movie, by the way. We're just
We can just talk for an hour and do that.
You're making our job real hard.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I always loved watching you, especially with my grandfather. I don't know if I saw this movie, but a friend in high school loved John Wayne so much she tried to copy his walk. So how did you come up with that signature walk, or did you already talk about it?
I didn't talk about it, but that was something that I think he learned from Harry Carey Sr., but modified it. I mean, Harry didn't play it up as much as my dad did. Today, he could easily move into transgender with the walk.
So actually, thank you for bringing that up. Of course, we always associate John Wayne with a certain swagger from his later films. But when I was revisiting The Big Trail, pay close attention, and maybe it is because of his youth, but he's very liveful and graceful in this movie. The way he moves, he has a different type of swagger than what we're used to.
No, he moves fast. I remember my younger sister, Melinda, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, when she got married, we were at this church, and the wedding party was kneeling at the altar rail. And then the altar was up, my brother-in-law and sister were up on the altar quite a distance from us. And then sitting back behind us, a few rows back, was my dad. And I'm looking up there, and I see my sister go like, it's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and she hasn't eaten anything all day, she's going to communion, and she also starts to go like this, like, oh my God, she's going to faint. And I saw something flash by me. And just as she goes like this, my dad is right there to grab her. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you don't see in movies, and this was real life. He was a cat.
Well, Mr. Patrick Wayne, once again, thank you so much for your time.
You're so